Glitch's latest pilot, Gameoverse, won me over immediately with scenes like this. But they also did something way more important that I was curious about. And scared. At the time of making this video, we are entering the last stages of the Amazing Digital Circus, and while it is mega successful, Glitch has a big challenge ahead. They need to repeat success like that, or risk becoming lost in the Digital Circus's shadow. To superfans, it may sound crazy to imagine, but remember, they're still new in the grand scheme of animation companies, so I am curious to see how a different show would perform. They personally have a lot of great candidates such as Knights of Guinevere and the Gaslight District, so what makes me personally the most excited in this one? It's because Gameoverse does something I haven't seen in any other Glitch show so far, and it's something I've been wanting to see from animation in a long time. To explain what exactly is the Gameoverse pilot and what is the context of the scene earlier that won me over. You have Kit and Caboodle, who are good guys who help villains. Yes, villains. Which sounds backwards, but there's a reason for that.
Usually, there's a hero and villain. And if the hero beats the villain on their game world, well...
Kaboom! Hero wins, you lose.
So to be clear, Kit and Caboodle under Farcade work with villains to prevent their world from annihilating, and the bad guys, Syntax, work with the good guys to make sure that the world is annihilated. I enjoy the dynamic between Kit and Caboodle. They are your standard, the optimistic one, and the grouch sort of pairing, and what separates Kit from your basic do-gooders is that part of her reason to do good is from something bad that happened to her that we'll get to soon. While they were doing recon, Syntax gets in the way. And who exactly is Syntax, you may ask?
Oh, would you look at this? A Farcade recon ship right in our path.
How'd you even see that?
Is there a problem?
No.
There's a Farcade recon ship in our way, sir.
The important characters to know for now are Misinformation and Fold, this duo here who fight in this episode a lot despite being on the same side, and Warwick, this absolute tank who's clearly in charge based on how people view him and how he commands dominance. I love his character design of several different pieces and the voice acting. Just look at how he reacts when Fold accidentally sends the Farcade ship crash landing on the planet, which was the one thing he did not want.
Oh no, you just did the one thing I told you not to do!
You said, don't let
them on the planet, correct!
So with all of that, you pretty much get the gist of this show. On one side, they want the villain to win to save the planet. On the other side, they want the villain to lose to destroy the planet. Both sides aren't exactly a well-oiled machine, so there's a lot of fighting between them and within their sides. There's a lot of different moving parts here. We'd learn as we go that Gobbles here, a Learnosaurus, is a rescued hero from a world Kit and Caboodle couldn't save, and he has a mini arc just in this pilot. Initially, he starts off as a nervous wreck who's trying to understand all of this and creates a bit of tension.
Shouldn't we try to find out who the hero is, or the villain of this game world, since the Syntax are here?
If they find Caboodle first, I can't let that happen. I have to find him.
Right, of course. But the planet will explode if we don't.
I'm not losing him too, Gobbles.
I enjoy Kit's perseverance and vulnerability throughout this pilot. She struggles with the internal criticism that her incessant need to try and save everyone and ended up saving no one but the hero is clouding the bigger picture of the organization she signed up for. As said beautifully in Into the Spider-Verse, the hardest part about being a hero is that you can't save everyone, even when you feel like you can. What makes this endearing and not annoying is that she isn't morally grandstanding on trying to save everyone. More so, this is just her knee-jerk reaction based on her past that we'll speak about soon. So as they go on their missions to either help the planet if they're Farcade, or if they're Syntax, destroy the planet and collect their essence, you get beautiful scenery of this world. It feels like a love letter to stuff that I would see on like Newgrounds or just the late 2000s in general. I love the video game transitions that show how much distance they've traveled as well. There's a lot of charm in this Gameoverse pilot. Kit and Gobbles would meet the hero Flappers as Misinformation and Fold tail right behind them, while Caboodle would meet Snappers, the villain. Once Flappers shows Kit around, we see more of what she struggles with, and everything from this point on would change how I view the show, because this scene won me over immediately.
Here we are, Coral Reef City.
Whoa, it's just like...
Well, go ahead and ask around.
Hey kid, I made a pizza. You want a slice?
Kit!
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 Kit! Kit!
Honestly, this tells me we're just getting the tip of the iceberg when it comes to Kit's origin, and I'm insanely curious. You see, earlier in defending her home, she became a victim to what she was trying to protect, and that trauma both motivates her to make sure it doesn't happen to anyone else, but is also a character flaw that she battles with all throughout this pilot, such as earlier when speaking to Gobbles. This trauma that she's dealing with comes up best when Flappers would find Fold, who acts as a friendly sheet of paper to convince Flappers to continue on his errand to defeat Snapper. Kit would see right through Fold's plan, but how she goes about trying to solve this would open up bigger issues such as trying to break the fourth wall in Flappers' world.
If you beat Snappers and win the game, this whole world is going to explode!
There's quite a bit to unpack here, such as how it may be that the heroes and villains are playing under the same rules in this Gameoverse with a higher power at play. Kit was also feared by Fold specifically until he saw that Caboodle was not with her, which suggests that together they normally can take down Syntax forces, which provides some credibility to why Kit and Caboodle are a duo. Lastly, Kit beats herself up a lot for trying to tell Flappers the truth because she, like Gobbles, knows the truth of what may happen to this world, and I love that struggle because it means she'll need to learn how to outsmart Syntax rather than how to out-truth them. While all of this is going on, Caboodle is training Snappers, and Folds ends up taking Flappers through all the mini-bosses on his way to Snappers, both of which are well presented and feed into the video game feel of the show. So all of this leads to the big fight, where the good guys are trying to deter the hero and help the villain, and the bad guys do everything in their power to get the good guy, Flappers, to win this fight.
Yes, it is I, Mr. Paper. Anyway, don't listen to these traitors. Just follow the plan and take out Snappers.
We've seen everything you've done to train Snappers, Farcade. There's no way Flappers will lose.
Is that Mrs. Paper? No!
Yeah, don't worry, Flappers. I was on Twitter for all of like 90 seconds. I don't think you have to worry about finding ships. These people ship so fast, Amazon is still trying to find a way to beat them. So now we have the big fight, but as we get through it, what exactly have I been wanting in animation that Gameoverse does so well? Well, to explain it, I might ruffle some feathers. So hear me out. I remember watching the pilot for The Amazing Digital Circus and the Gaslight District, and one thing I'll praise both for is what they want to offer. It's quite dark, quite complex, and you can tell there's gonna be a lot of depth in these shows, and I love that. You know, I love shows like Primal, Arcane, The Boondocks, Infinity Train, shows with a lot of depth that can get dark and complex. Didn't mean to rhyme there, but we're gonna keep that. They provide a platform to speak about tough issues and showcase Western animation as a medium that can provide as good of engaging storytelling as anime or live action to those looking for those kind of stories. But with that said, I grew up on stuff like Chowder, Jimmy Neutron, Fairly Odd Parents, Ed, Edd n Eddy, Gumball, and the like. So I'm always going to love the wacky and whimsier side of animation more because that's how I gained my love of animation. I mean, just look at this. It's a proxy battle between a funny dolphin and a funny shark with two wacky trios and a purple dinosaur. Like, to me, this is like up my alley of wacky. However, where Gameoverse takes this to a level that other comedic shows that are out there don't really do normally is that there's more storytelling and world building that matters here. And there was one piece of criticism that perhaps some aspects of the pilot could have been explained better, and if I were to nitpick, I do agree, but in the sense that The Amazing Digital Circus often felt vague, especially in those first few episodes. I kind of just chalked this up to how Glitch makes shows. It certainly didn't stop people from speculating between episodes over there, so I can't knock it over here. I say all of that to say this is a show I feel like is made for someone like me, and I would go as far as to say that I enjoy this pilot more than any other pilot from Glitch Productions, including The Amazing Digital Circus's pilot. I think because they pivoted from getting more dark and more grim, this doesn't have to fight against comparisons from the other Glitch shows because it's nothing like them. To me, this show scratches that same general itch that shows like Glitch Tech's, OKKO, and Mau Mau did, while also not being in their shadow either because of their unique premise. It definitely helps because who's behind this? of course. But this show avoids the common pitfall of video game shows that try to jingle the keys of seeming cool because they reference video games and that's cool to their target demographic in a very how do you do fellow kids fashion. And I enjoy the lighthearted inclusions of common video game UI such as the main menu for the world, as well as health bars, which also serve as illustrated tension within this main fight. Once both sides are down to their last bit of health, this is truly anyone's battle to win. If Flappers wins, yes, the hero defeats the monster, but at the cost of the hero's world. If Snappers wins, yes, evil won in the world, but there's still a world, and there was a greater good secured outside of their world. So who wins?
This is it, Snappers!
This is when we get to perhaps my favorite part of the episode, where Flappers learns in real time that he was trying to do good by taking down a monster who's been terrorizing his home. But in doing so, he ends up doing way more damage to his home than Snappers ever did. You see here that Kit tries to comfort Flappers by telling him that doing the right thing is understandable, because not only did he not know, but he could not have been told. Syntax wins, and another planet is harvested. Now, does that mean that the entire ending is sad? Not necessarily. Kit and Caboodle and Gobbles now have another character along in their fight, a very fast and strong one, and they bond over their shared loss. It's a very touching moment for everyone involved, and it makes me want to root for them to see justice. Meanwhile, Snappers may have lost the battle, but he's gonna lose way more than his home.
Look out there. The rules of the Gameoverse are cruel and unfair. With the float we absorb from planets like yours, we can change those rules. Join us.
Snappers decides that he's bigger than the Syntax mission, and we learn in real time why Warwick is in charge, because Snappers would pretty much be defeated permanently. However, is everyone just as won over yet with Gameoverse? No. And I do want to speak about some of those complaints. I've seen people speak about the audio mixing and the roughness of the animation, particularly in the beginning scenes, where while they're going for a choppy animation sequence, it just doesn't feel like they hit the right beats for certain people. I do think that's valid to say, I just don't share it because of this comment here. And the important part of this comment is, now we're looking at funding a full season. This isn't a series that's been greenlit, it is a pilot, and I judge it differently compared to if this was the polished, complete product. There's many other pilots that aren't 100% polished that I enjoy, such as Pretty Pretty Please, I Don't Want to Be a Magical Girl, where objectively, Gameoverse's pilot is more complete. But both were still able to get their concept and point across and develop a strong bond with their audience. So when it comes to pilots, I personally don't care as much if it's rough around the edges. If anything, for me to love it as much with these issues means that I'll love it even more when those things are solved. And speaking of a show that got greenlit past its pilot, Under Glitch, you can see what the amazing digital circus has been up to in this video here.